To set the scene, we're plunging straight into the claustrophobic and super dangerous world of 12th century England. Picture it, October 1149, Lincolnshire. And look, this isn't some romanticized, shiny armor fairy tale. No way. This is a muddy, blood-soaked landscape literally torn apart by civil war. The atmosphere is just incredibly heavy and tense. I mean, every allegiance is questioned, and stepping even slightly out of line, that can mean an immediate, violent death. Now just listen to this intense declaration. Were I a man, I would kill you. Ouch, right? This venom is spat by our protagonist, Lady Anne in Bretagne, straight into the face of the fearsome Baron Wulfrith. It instantly establishes this bitter, bitter rivalry born from pure grief. See, Anne is absolutely convinced Wulfrith murdered her beloved brother, Jonas. She's standing over her brother's corpse, looking at the guy she holds responsible, and literally declaring war. Okay, moving on to our next section, a kingdom divided. Let's step back for a second and look at the macro-political conflict here because it's absolutely crucial to understanding the story. On one side, you have King Stephen. He's widely considered the usurper, but he's currently holding the throne. On the other side is young Duke Henry, the rightful heir, who is fighting tooth and nail to reclaim it. And this massive countrywide war is exactly what results in Jonas's death. He got caught in the crossfire. He was secretly loyal to Henry, but forced to serve Wulfrith, who was sworn to King Stephen. It's a total political powder keg, forcing everyone to pick a side with totally fatal consequences. Which brings us to our next part, disguised for vengeance. So what does Anne do? To get close to Wulfrith, she basically has to erase her entire identity. She hacks off her hair, smears mud on her face, and painfully binds her chest with linen just to pass as the impetuous Squire Jane Brios. But the craziest part? She literally binds a sharp dagger directly to her bare thigh. Just imagine the sheer terror of that for a second. Sleeping, eating, and training surrounded by ruthless enemy knights, knowing that even one little slip of your disguise means instant execution. Next up, the Squire and the Baron. So she arrives at Wolfen Castle, and let me tell you, this place is entirely unforgiving. It's a merciless, fiercely disciplined training ground for England's absolute deadliest knights. And crucially, women are strictly forbidden here. Baron Wulfrith actually believes women are just a distraction from the martial arts. So Wolfen Castle isn't just a backdrop, it's this brutal, hyper-masculine sandbox that constantly threatens to expose Annie in every single second of the day. And just look at what she actually has to endure. Wulfrith puts his new Squire James through an incredibly punishing regimen. We're talking Step 1, blind pre-dawn runs through pitch-black woods. Step 2, running with impossibly heavy-weighted belts strapped to her already bruised, bound chest. And Step 3, merciless, bone-crushing quarterstaff combat directly against Wulfrith himself, a guy twice her size. He shoves her into the mud, calling her unworthy, completely clueless that he's actually fighting a fiercely determined young woman. You really have to ask yourself, in this suffocating environment, how long can she possibly hide? The dramatic irony here is just exquisite. We, the audience, know she has that hidden dagger, so every time she stumbles or every time it rains and threatens to make her linen tunic see-through, that ticking clock danger just amplifies. The suspense is masterfully woven right into her daily survival. And this all leads to a massive turning point that plays out second by 10th second. Okay, it's midnight. Annie sneaks into Wulfrith's pitch-black solar where he sleeps. By 12:05 a.m., she's standing right over him, raising that sharp misericord blade right over his exposed throat. But then, at 12:06, she hesitates. She starts remembering the private prayers and the surprising moments of fairness she's seen from him. Her whole mental image of him as a monster starts to crack. And then, at exactly 12:07 a.m., before she can strike, Baron Lavone suddenly bursts into the room with his men, completely interrupting the assassination. Talk about timing, right? All right, moving into our next section, the truth unveiled. So, the grand revelation actually doesn't happen on some dramatic battlefield. It happens in a moment of pure vulnerability. Sickness strikes, and a severe fever forces Annie into bed. In her delirious state, the physical layers of her disguise are finally stripped away. Wulfrith comes to check on his sick squire, and boom, he discovers her bound chest. The secret is completely out. This totally shifts the power dynamic and brings their whole collision course to a stunning climax. 4. I really want you to notice the sheer gravity of that number. That is exactly how many years Annie spent obsessively training for vengeance. 4 entire years of her life dedicated to hating this one man. But in the aftermath of her being unveiled, she realizes something absolutely devastating. Her entire crusade, it was built on a lie. Because as it turns out, here's what really happened. It wasn't Wolfrith at all. Baron Lavone reveals that he is the true killer. He flat out confesses, "I did it. Jonas betrayed." This confession just hits like a ton of bricks. Jonas didn't die proudly in a battlefield fighting for a king. He was murdered in the dark by Lavone because he refused to betray Wolfred's trust. Think about that. Jonas died because he was fiercely loyal to Wolfred himself, completely defying the political lines of the whole war. Which brings us to our final section, new alliances forged. Look at this dramatic shift. I mean, they go from being sworn enemies, where Anion is actively hunting Wolfrith for blood, to becoming both political and romantic allies. Once the real enemy is clear, they totally unite against the murderous Lavon, the manipulative Duke Henry, and failing King Stephen. It just goes to show that the psychological line between deep hatred and undeniable loyalty really is razor thin. So how do they actually solidify this new alliance in such a dangerous world? Through some really unprecedented actions. Wolfrith does the unthinkable. He formally renounces his lifelong loyalty to King Stephen just to physically protect Annin from Duke Henry. And to lock it all in, they orchestrate this hasty, defiant, clandestine marriage. Then, in an absolute masterstroke of medieval political messaging, they publicly hang their stained marriage sheet from the castle window. Basically, they explicitly choose each other over the crown. So we want to leave you with this final thought. When blood is shed and crowns are fiercely contested, what really is the true cost of loyalty? Anning thought she could control her fate with a blade, and Wolfrith thought he could do it with absolute discipline to his king. But in the atmospheric, super unpredictable world of 12th century England, loyalty to a person often completely trumps loyalty to a throne. Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer on betrayal and unexpected alliances. Keep that question rolling around in your head, and we will see you next time.